So how do you find your niche when it comes to building your brand, your business, and your YouTube channel online? In this video, I sit down with Rory Vaden, who's an expert in helping people uncover their uniqueness and really stand out by identifying their specific niche. And he's going to be walking us through 6 specific questions that will give you massive clarity so you can start getting more views, more subscribers, and more momentum in your business and brand coming up. Hey, what's up, influencers? Sean Cannell here with Video Influencers, and we're at Social Media Marketing World, and I'm super fired up to be sitting with Rory Vaden, who really helps people. It's kind of like a CMO for personal brands, helps you build your personal brand, market, impact more people, master your messaging. And in this video, he's going to be breaking down how we can really discover our uniqueness and niche down. Finding our niche is one of the hardest things really to do, and it can feel limiting, and so we're going to be unpacking that. But Rory, man, you're a best-selling author. You've done so many things. For those in our community that are just meeting you, what's kind of your story in a nutshell and how you ended up doing what you do now?
Yeah, well, I was always an aspiring speaker. That was how I started. I was 17 years old speaking in the high school gymnasium and basically grew that into becoming a New York Times bestselling author. And then my wife and I started a company that was a coaching company. We grew that to 8 figures, exited that. And we had to get a new space, and we thought, hey, we should teach people how to do all these things that we've learned to do. And honestly, a guy named Lewis Howes happened to call me, which we'd been friends. I know you know Lewis, and he'd called, and he was like, man, I need some help with something, and I really think you're the guy who can help me. And he came over, and we did that, and that became the genesis of Brand Builders Group, which is our new company. Brand
Builders Group. Well, that's amazing. And I heard you recently at my friend Chalene Johnson's conference.
Yeah, she's the best.
And you were breaking down a lot of frameworks and stuff. And so one of the big pain points of our community is, to stand out online. If you try and reach everybody, you end up reaching nobody.
Yep.
But finding your uniqueness and really actually truly niching down and not feeling limited. But I mean, my YouTube channel is about like 6 things because I'm a dynamic person.
Right.
Take us through kind of a process of how we can find our niche and really then position ourselves for something that's going to stand out online.
Yeah, so the full length framework or process that we call the brand DNA helix. And it's 6 questions that you ask yourself, or someone like us would ask you. And what we're looking for is you basically brainstorm the answers to these 6 questions. And we're looking for what we call thematic overlap, which is at the intersection of these answers is where your uniqueness lives. And you're exactly right. Like that's it. We all kind of know, I should niche down, but how do I find it? Like what makes me unique? And so the first question, the genesis of every personal brand is to answer the question, what problem do you solve? Now, I know you've probably heard that before, right? Like what problem do you solve? But we mean specifically in one word.
Wow.
Can you answer that question? What problem do I solve in one word? Most people cannot do it. And the problem with that is that people don't really buy luxuries. People buy solutions to problems. And so to be effective, we have to be marketing problems. What most people do is they market solutions. How to be rich or sexy or powerful or whatever. But people really need you, and they spend money. Like if the water heater breaks or I get a flat tire or my kid gets sick, I'm going to find money for that. I may or may not find money for the dream car or the vacation. So you have to know what problem you solve in one word. In some ways that's limiting, but in reality, when you nail it, it actually is very empowering because that opens up, like that problem will apply to many different aspects. And you can talk about many different things as long as it is through the lens of that problem. And so that nuances, it's a hard balance to strike, but just, can you answer that question in one word? Most people cannot.
What's your one word?
Okay, so let me walk you through the genesis. My current one word is obscurity.
Okay.
To be unclear, untrusted, or unknown. So Brand Builders Group serves mission-driven messengers and heart-led leaders. These are people who want to make an impact and they want to make money, but they really are driven by impact. But they're battling obscurity. They're the world's best kept secret, which is the worst thing ever. Like in our world, that's the worst thing ever. You don't want to be the best kept secret. You have to expand your reach. And so a lot of our clients are really good at what they do, they have great results, they have great track records, but the problem is if I don't know about you, I can't buy from you. And we say that reputation precedes revenue. And so reputation and obscurity is, that reputation is what we say is our uniqueness, which is the solution, and obscurity is the problem. But the way that we figured out this methodology is you more have to go back in time and look at my personal brand. So my first book, it's called Take the Stairs. That was the big, bestseller. If on the surface, take the stairs as a metaphor for doing hard work, doing the things you don't want to do. That concept is like the most unoriginal of all. Like,
sure.
I mean, do hard, like work hard. Like that's what's unique about that. The answer is that book solved the problem of procrastination. And so we really promoted procrastination. In fact, we invented 3 types of procrastination. Well, we didn't invent them, but we coined these phrases.
Yeah.
So there's classic procrastination, which is consciously delaying what you know you should be doing. But then we invented terms like creative avoidance, which is unconsciously delaying what you know you should be doing.
Wow.
And then priority dilution, which is that basically your priorities get put off because of urgent, you give up the significant for the urgent. And so we were talking about procrastination, and the world responded to that. Now, if we just showed up and said, hey, the solution is discipline or work hard, that's not super unique. But when we were able to zero in on procrastination, explore the problem, draw it out, build around it, quantify it through, like studies and things that we did, as you celebrate or become an ambassador of the problem, then people will naturally come to you for the solution.
So should your one word potentially be related to the problem you solve? I mean, what leaped to mind, not knowing my one word, was I thought video. I help people build their influence with online video.
Yep.
But I don't know if video would be my one word.
So it would not be. Because video isn't a problem, okay?
Got it.
But what you're describing here is very common, is that a lot of times mission-driven messengers, they know the answer, they're more clear on the answer than they are on the problem.
Nice.
Which is part of the problem.
Sure.
But it's also usually part of their success. I mean, you've been tremendously successful.
Yeah.
But and so sometimes if you know the solution, and we call this your uniqueness. So your uniqueness is a one-word solution, so it is in some way the inverse of the problem. So if you know the word, like my word would take the stairs was discipline, my word now is reputation, right? And so I'll give you an example. So people, we say personal branding is just the digitization of reputation, but that's because we connect with a lot of executives and entrepreneurs that are not kind of the influencers. They're a little bit older, so they understand reputation and they go, yes, I want reputation. But reputation is our uniqueness. So if your uniqueness very well is going to be something connected to video, then what you have to ask yourself is you go, to what question is video the answer?
Got it.
To what problem is video the solution, which is one of my mentors, David Avern, used to always tell me about. He used to always say those things to me, and it's, so.
And mine could be similar. Obscurity resonates because that's the power of video.
Right.
You could go from obscurity to getting known, and we say at Video Influencers, we help you build your influence, your income, so you can ultimately make a greater impact.
Yep.
And so that's just kind of actually a pretty common tagline when you really look at it. But
it is, and that's okay, because because you and I, if we had the exact same problem that we solved, our solution, first of all, how we go about it is different.
True.
But even if the solution was the same, and if it was identically the same, it still would be different. And this is something I think people get hung up on, is they go, well, I can't do that because Tony Robbins already does that, or I can't do that because Chalene already does that, or Gary Vaynerchuk already does that. But the way I think about it is, you've heard the term calling before.
Yeah.
Right? We think, I'll find my calling.
Yeah.
I think about that literally. I think that your calling that you feel is actually a signal being put out by somebody else. There is somebody out there that needs you. And you and I can sit here on the same recording. We could say the same thing, but certain people will only be able to hear it from you because they're on your frequency. Certain people will only be able to hear it from me because they're on my frequency.
Wow.
So there's lots of Mexican restaurants. We all love Mexican food. Each of them are a little bit different. There's room for Mexican restaurants in every country and every city that you go to.
That's a good point.
So it's not so much the uniqueness of like, oh my gosh, I'm saying something that's never been said before. It is one about being clear, and if you are clear, a lot of times there is distinction, like your solution is perhaps different than mine, but also the way that you do it, and because of your experiences, we could be theoretically talking about the same thing and see it totally different. But it's more about you being clear on exactly who you are and what you believe, and interpreting the entire world around you through this lens. So we talk about how if you were wearing glasses, the problem would be one lens and the uniqueness would be the other lens. It doesn't mean that the only thing you can ever talk about is that problem and that solution. But it does mean that everything that you talk about should happen through the lens of those two things.
Got it. So powerful, man. And I think this is so encouraging because, a lot of us maybe feel, oh, someone's already doing what I want to do. Someone's already saying what I want to say. Tony's already doing it. Shalene's already doing it. But your vibe will attract your tribe. And so by planting your flag, getting clear, clarity is power. We wrote a book, YouTube Secrets. The second C of the 7 C's of YouTube success was clarity. Because starting with the end in mind, right? Getting really clear. And I want to hear these next 5 questions, and maybe we'll go rapid fire through those. But that's huge. Starting out with what problem do you solve? And so I want to pass the question off to you. Let us know in the comments, what problem does your content, your channel, your business solve? And some people think, well, I'm entertaining. I'm a comedian. That solves a problem.
That's
right?
Boredom. That is boredom. That is disengagement. That is any of those terms. And the way that we come at this, by the way, is we create a problem cloud. So you create a whole list of words, which, by the way, in phase 2, which we get into like the expression of your brand, which is like marketing stuff, you're going to use a lot of those words again. So it's not like you're only going to use that one word. You're going to use those other words. But yes, the entertainment is an escape for people. They are escaping something, right? They're stressed. They're tired. They're overwhelmed, and knowing exactly which one it is. So we call this the cause and symptom test, which is. Or here's a better illustration. We talk about color and shade. So boredom, stress, exhaustion, overwhelm, frustration, those are all kind of a similar color. The shade, though, is what we're trying to get, is which one exactly is in the middle. And it's not that there is a right answer. There is just your right answer, is figuring out what lights you up. And that is it's sort of unscientific, but we call it the Goosey's test. It's like, does it give you goosies when you talk about it, like to where you go, I would dedicate my life, which, by the way, leads to the second question, which is, what are you passionate about? So there's probably lots of problems you could solve. I could teach the world how to do spreadsheets. I happen to be good with spreadsheets, but I'm not passionate about it.
Sure.
So you reconcile that with what lights you up. Now, here's a quick tip. When we say, what are you passionate about, our mind goes to sunshine and rainbows and happiness. What we have found is a stronger indicator of passion is what pisses you off and what breaks your heart. What is a thing that you see in the world and it makes you cry inside? Like, you see it and you go, that should not be so. Because you're receiving a signal from whatever that is. That signal is calling to the center of your soul. And that is a huge piece of evidence about where your uniqueness lies.
So we start off with what's the problem you solve, then what's your passion, and if what makes you cry, what makes you mad, that's really what lights you up.
Yeah.
Right? What's the next question?
Yeah. So questions 3 and 4 go together in tandem as well. So question number 3 is, what do you research? Which is, what do you have like classic education on? Question 4 is, what do you have results in? That's more of like, what have you done? What is your experience? So if question 1 and 2 are about what do you want to talk about, questions 3 and 4 are about what have you earned the right to talk about. And then questions 5 and 6, this is, we call it the brand DNA helix because they work in pairs like chromosomes. Questions 5 and 6 are, what are all the things people would buy from you? And then what business do you want to be in? So those two questions are the empirical analysis of finding your uniqueness, and we kind of talk through the 5 ways that you get paid as a personal brand, and going through and figuring out which of those you have strengths for and which ones you don't, but really trying to focus on one primary business model. So in addition to one message, one primary way of making money, rather, I think we hear like multiple streams of income. I think multiple streams of income is terrible advice for somebody just starting out. The reality is you need one stream of income that works really well, that you drive like crazy, and then maybe later you can diversify. But too many creators are spending all of their time creating, and they never get around to selling because that's the part they don't like doing, and you got to do it.
Yeah, man, that's so powerful. And I'm excited to hear a little bit about, unpack these questions, but you actually have a chance to get some coaching on this, to maybe get a discovery call.
Yeah.
And so we'll link to that in the description below. And this is your team that will walk people through the opportunity to go through some of how you help people.
Yeah. We do our first strategy call is free with everybody, and we kind of walk through the helix. We'll want to get a picture of what do you want to do, where are you at, what are you struggling with, and that's kind of how we meet people and introduce them to the various things that we have going on, and sometimes we can help, in a deeper way, and sometimes we can't, but we'll walk you kind of through that helix and help you get clear.
That's super powerful. So especially if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, or somebody that really wants to dial in your personal brand and monetize it, we'll link to that in the description below. If you've been getting value out of this video so far, smash the like button, and I do want to hear from you. Again, what is that problem that you solve, and what are you passionate about in the comment section down below? And so I love this as we land the plane. These 6 questions, which maybe list them out for us, because write these down. This is incredible clarity just to go through these questions.
Sure.
So here's the 6 questions.
What problem do you solve? What are you passionate about? What do you research? What do you have results in? What would someone buy from you? And what business do you want to be in?
Man, so you answer all of those. You begin to start getting clear, and now you can stand out. And what's some of the things that you've seen as a result, once the difference between before and after going through your process?
Sure. Well, I mean, you can use, they're not all our clients even, but like if you look at Brene Brown as a great real life example, her whole personal brand is built around solving one problem: shame. She has one solution: vulnerability. She is a perfect example of someone that we never worked with. Dave Ramsey, his problem is debt. His solution is cash. He says the same thing on the radio every day for 3 hours. He said it for years. Transform my life, transform millions of lives, because it's super clear, a 6-step process solving one problem. The problem is debt. Debt is dumb, cash is king. It's at the start of every radio show. He gives away the answer. But that's the thing too, is you don't have to be afraid of giving away too much, because people don't pay for information, they pay for application. So don't be afraid of giving away too much content in your videos. You're a great example of that. You give away so much, and yet people are still coming to you for more and more and more.
Yeah, man, so powerful. Really good examples. And so, Rory, if people want to connect with you, a couple great books, and Take the Stairs, Procrastinate on Purpose. We'll link to those as well in the description below. But where are you at on social if people want to connect with you?
So I'm actually rebuilding all my social channels, which is fun. We exited a business a couple years ago. But if you just search Rory Vaden, you'll find me. But I would go to brandbuildersgroup.com/video influencers. Just start there. Let's do a free call, and we'll get connected from there.
I love that. And one final sending off word. It's been amazing, your success in business. You've built and sold and exited companies and stuff. We have people at all different stages of entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship's a roller coaster. So just kind of maybe speak to us as the persistence to keep going when things are confusing, when things aren't maybe going well, or maybe they're going great. What's some just word of advice as we land the plane?
Yeah, well, this is probably one of my more recognizable quotes from Take the Stairs, which is that success is never owned. Success is only rented, and the rent is due every day. And if that doesn't, it means no matter how successful you were yesterday, it doesn't really matter, because the success is rented. Also, no matter how big of a failure you might have been yesterday, it doesn't matter. All that matters is what you do today, what you do right here and now. And here is the truth. There is somebody out there sending a signal to you. There is somebody out there begging, perhaps on their knees, praying for an answer to a problem problem that you could solve, that you could answer like the back of your hand without thinking about it. And the only time we don't go serve that person is when we're thinking about ourselves. Am I good enough? Are people going to like me? Are my videos polished enough? All of that fear is just when we're thinking about ourselves. So if you focus on that person, you never feel fear when the mission to serve is clear. Focus on that person and be willing to pay the price, and success will come to you, whatever it is.
Rory Vaden, smash like if you got value out of this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.